So in the last class, we have seen the community edition of Databricks, right? So in this class, we are going to see and we are going to work with Azure Databricks, which is already licensed, right? So whenever you don't have any license, it will never allow you to create any works here or any works officially. Of course, you can create a Databricks community version again here also, but it will never allow you to go for jobs or create jobs or do some kind of additional computation tasks, just like here I have a cluster which is already terminated cluster. So but whenever I'm into a specific kind of thing just like this, okay, so whenever I have additional cluster which is already enabled with different kind of configurations or something else, that will not work there. So whatever you have seen there, there is a cluster name and there's no cluster mode or anything. So the cluster runtime version you might select there with the runtime version and the Scala and Spark, but not any other, right? So this is how we can create a professional cluster for Databricks. Okay, it is a real-time thing. So last time we can see only one driver, which can be 14 point something memory with one core CPU, right? But whenever you are into the licensed version of Databricks, so that will come up with the additional features, right? So we can see here how to create our our new cluster. So let's see what is the difference between what it is, this licensed version Databricks and community version Databricks, along with how to create a Databricks or where to start the Databricks from Azure, right? Let's see. So we can directly go into the dashboard. Let me take you to the dashboard here. This is my this is my personal dashboard where I have clearly arranged and everything maintained in a sequence, right? So I just created this for my personal things. So again, I'm saying it is my personal server and it is not for production or anything. It's my personal server completely. I can maintain my works here. I can maintain my website here. And recently I bought my personal domain, harishkumar.ch. So I need to host some files here. So that is in development. So that's similar to something where I create, where I'm developing my complete portal and the stuff. So let me show you something here. So new terminal. Okay. So it will take some time to up the development server. Let's go ahead. So here I have everything, right? So this is my dashboard and everything. Hope you guys are aware of this one. So there's not a cloud class to explain everything about this. What I can say, everything about my this is not loading because there is no files. There is a domain, but there is no hosted file. That's why it is not loading. So I have to redirect this into this Azure. Then only this can come up with whatever the required stuff. All right. So looks like it is still starting. Yeah, let's go into this one meanwhile. So as we can see everything over here, either you can create a new dashboard or anything, refresh the dashboard or full screen, anything you can do whatever you want here. Or if you want to create any new surveys or something else, whether you can go with all resource and then create something with a new resource by clicking create, or you can directly create a resource. Then you can try with this. All right. So whenever you click on create a resource, it will come up with something something as different, right? So okay, looks like my dev server is up and it is trying to load. Let me show you something here. Interesting. Just a second. While it is loading, it will never allow to load any websites. Just started. That's my local host again. It's building. Come on. No, while it is loading, if I just try to reload anything, it will cancel and it will replace with the fresh URL, whatever I have here. That's why I'm taking into the fresh tab. All right. So just keep it as it required. Just give few minutes to make it possible. A couple more seconds. I don't know why it is taking this much time. Oh, that's the reason. It is running in VM. Come on. Yes, got it. Yeah. So this is my simple version of my portal where I'm going to host it into my personal server. Right. So whatever I have here, I can directly go and host. Right. So I'm just building portfolio and need to build these three. And then once these all ready, I just deploy everything into the server. This is my personal server, right? So I just show you why I'm maintaining my personal server. Here I have some other applications where I can go with my own products. Okay, so that's why I'm not going to show the products and everything here. Just I want you to know why I'm maintaining my personal server. That's it, right? So now, uh, how to create Databricks from here? Let me close this Databricks notebook as well. So now I'm into the fresh screen of Azure and everything. I'm not going to show everything here, but I can show you something. So earlier it will directly come under where it is analytics. Earlier the Databricks directly come into the analytics. Of course, it is here because whenever we are trying to use some of the tools from the Databricks analytics, it will show based on that. So here I have some analytical servers where services which I can use to create some analytics for my products. And there might be some Power BI enabled services where I can build the Power BI reports, which can be simply used. And also I'm using Databricks to transform some kind of hard coded files into a simple structure, right? So that's why these three are on the top as of now. So you can simply click on this Azure Databricks, or you can type the same thing here, Databricks. You can see that Azure Databricks here. By clicking on this, it will take you into this screen, right? So meanwhile, you can create here something by clicking on create. All right. So here, oh, the subscription was expired. That's why I'm unable to go into this. Oh my God. Uh, okay. Let's go and create something here. There's no subscriptions. I have to create some subscription thing again. I have to proceed with this. All right. Let me show you how to create these all. So I have to create this resource group. You have to select the what it is, the version of the subscription here, and you have to fill that resource group if you have anything, or if you want to create a new one, you can click on this create new by clicking on this, and you can give the workspace name and everything, right? Once it is done, it will take you into the workspace environment. It will take you into the launch pad. Once the launch pad is ready, the launch pad will take you into the environment. Once the Databricks is ready, right? Once the Databricks is ready, it will create some kind of different files here. Let me show you what are these. So you can see whatever it is related to the Databricks, right? These all files are related to Databricks, these three, mean to say, along with the Databricks workplace. Okay, this is my Databricks workplace along with these three files. Why these three files are created? You are not creating these three, right? But you have only created this one. Not supposed to be surprised, because Databricks is not a small thing. It is you are using Azure Databricks. That means the Databricks, the Apache Spark services are hosted on the what you can say, hosted on Azure server, and you are trying to use everything. That's why this service is going to use these three. That means workers SG, this is my worker, this is my computation service. Okay, workers, I'm just created the, I mean, whenever we are going to create the server, mean to say cluster or a computations, so that is nothing but a worker group, right? The worker group should go with something called virtual net. Okay, VNet is nothing but a network group, right? Networking related environment. So those computations are required to establish internal networking. Again, these are not external, these are internal networking components, right? So again, these workers are nothing but virtual machines which are enabling virtual network in between these virtual machines, not with any other. And the workers, this is a security group. Whenever these machines are going to create a what it is, networking, virtual networking, so this networking should require a security, right? That's why the security group will create here this whatever I can say. Just give me a second, guys. At 2:45 I schedule a meeting with client. Okay. So sorry, now. So these two are related to this Databricks. Okay, these two are related to the network and network security. So you can see that the simple dash SG is nothing but security group, dash VNet is nothing but virtual network. And these are fine, but why this? Why the storage account? Because Databricks is not a individual service, right? It needs some place where to store that all the information, just like its history, its data, its platforms, its notebooks, it's everything, right? So that's why it required some place to store everything. Okay, so when you open this surveys, you can see all kind of things here which are related to this one. That this storage service is nothing but the place where it can hold everything, right? Here you can see whatever enabled to access, to store, to maintain, you can see everything here. Okay, so access tier is in hot and remaining all in disabled, but cross tenant replication is allowed, because cross tenant replication is required to read and write operations from what we can say, from the members of the cluster, I mean to say from the machines, right? So that's why it is required. And you can see all the I mean all the securities what I have enabled here, and what I have enabled for the networking, and you can see everything, and you can manage and you can do everything, right? So the monitoring services, everything you can see here. Recommendations, if you have any recommendations required, that can suggest here. I have created everything in a proper manner, that's why it is not suggesting to me, and it is showing all are good. If you want any tutorials related to the Azure portal and everything, of course you guys are aware of this, but I'm just saying, right? And finally the developer tools, so where we are going to use this storage account if you really require to handle that the environment of Databricks storage environment. You can go and get the Python get the language based SDK, and you can integrate with that, and you can proceed. All right. This just for understanding purpose. I'm saying this all, just going back to all resources. But you cannot see these all in the dashboard, but you can see all in your all resources, right? Let's go back to the dashboard. You can see only the resource which are available, which are pinned to the dashboard. All right, but you can see all resources here again, right? So these are my networks. It doesn't mean for the Databricks. These are my personal networks. All right, let's open this Databricks environment. Once the uh, Databricks service is ready, the launcher will create and make everything possible to you. The Databricks environment will appear like this. Okay, so here you can go and get the details. Simply launch workspace. Okay, it will take you into this one. Let's try to create the cluster because it already expired, but I don't know how can it respond. All right, so you can see all are same. When you compare with other community Databricks edition with licensed Databricks edition, you can see all features are same, but there are some things which are blocked from community edition. That is, the first one is jobs. You cannot create jobs over there, but you can create jobs here, right? You can create your own job and you can schedule it as per the requirement. You can create you can give the name and you can choose the notebook, or if you have any Python Python separate files or packages or something else, JavaScript related executable files or Spark related executables. If you have anything, you can go and schedule it, or you can directly go with the notebook, whatever you have in your hand, right? So you can select the notebooks here. If you want to get it from the repos, or you can get anything from this. So here, users and everything you can select. I have two notebooks here. I can select it and confirm. So you can directly get it into this one. So here, the cluster, whatever the cluster you have, you can go with. So whenever you are creating a new job, that should require a fresh cluster to execute, because it is not supposed to be interrupted by any other. Whenever the task is required to execute, you have to make the path clear for that task, right? That's why you have to create a fresh cluster, right? And once you are ready, if you want to add any parameters for this notebook, so we'll come to see how the parameters can send to the notebook to execute and everything, right? So that's how you can send all this one. If you want any advanced options, you can go, or you can leave it empty, right? Based on the parameters, it can execute. Once you hit create, it will create a job here and it can start execution by scheduling it, right? I'm not going to create anything because it can charge me, right? So now I'm going back to one more thing, that is compute. So earlier we can see only one feature here to create, that is just you can select the database runtime environment, as I said earlier, right? So but here you can see many things uh, which are not familiar with you, right? Let's see what are these. So here you can see the cluster name as per the community edition, and you can see the Databricks runtime, where you can select that the runtimes and you can go with. But the advanced thing here, earlier it might not show you this grouping, but here it can show the group. If you want to go with the standard data engineering, you can go with standard. If you want to go with machine learning, you can go with machine learning. All right. So I'm not going to select anything. I'm just going with the default for data engineering, right? And see what is this cluster mode. So this cluster mode is nothing but what type of cluster you want to select. Okay, you want to use for this, right? You can see high concurrency, standard, single node. Single node is nothing but the same what we have seen in the community edition, right? And also it can um, it is not showing some additional features here whenever you are into the single mode. And high concurrency. High concurrency is nothing but which is a vast. It is not a small thing, it is vast. There's a biggest stuff where it can go with uh, big data kind of stuffs. It is not supposed to be. If you are working for a data center, where the data center is dealing with multiple databases from multiple companies for multiple kind of stuff, just like Azure data center, Google data center, or AWS data center, or some other third-party data centers are also there. Like Blue Ocean is there, DigitalOcean is there, data binders are there, some data lakes are there, right? So you can go with these all to play with. So what they are doing, they are collecting complete data into the machines and they are maintaining it. They might compress the data without losing anything, and they might serve the data without with minimum delay and without loss, right? That's the data center's main thing. So if you want to make it high possibility, you can make it high concurrency, or you can go with the standard. If it is max enough for you, you can see this. Um, you can see this charge also whenever you are changing it. Now I'm into the standard. It is into 2.25 to $2.25 to $6.75. Whenever this is changed into the high concurrent, starts from $6 and let's go with $18 with the same kind of stuff. Okay, minimum 2 workers, maximum 8 workers. Right. I'll explain you why this min and max. Right. So coming into the next one, here you can see that auto scaling. So why this auto scaling here? Okay, so just just I just want you to explain something here. So why we are using cloud instead of physical server, right? Whenever we are using physical server, we had to equip everything and we had to maintain everything, and the server should be available on 99.99% uptime, right? It is not supposed to be less than that. So to make everything possible, that is a highly expensive for the company. So whenever they are tuning it into the cloud will come up with a better thing. Okay, that is nothing but a simple concept. Of course, it is a simple concept, but it is not a small thing. The simple concept is pay on use or pay per use, right? So whatever you use, you just pay for that. So how they are achieving this? With the help of elastic cloud. Okay, what is this elastic? So whenever you need more computation, it can stretch the requirement. Whenever you need less computation, it can squeeze between the range. That is, auto scaling is nothing but elastic. By over the mouse on this question mark button or help symbol, you can see all this information here. So this auto scaling enabling will allow you to enter minimum workers and maximum workers. Whenever the work is less, it can scale down all the workers into the minimum level, 2 level. This means it will never uh, it will never go down from this. It will come down till here. It will never go behind this, right? And whenever you require maximum workers to make your computation more faster and more accurate, at the time it will scale up the machines, scale up the workers behind the server, behind the service, and it can make the possibility. I mean, it can make the service possible with the 99.99% uptime without fault tolerance, right? So this is how we can create maximum workers here, right? Min and max workers. So, and then why the standard thing here? Why not others? So this is a standard DS data server or a data service, whatever you can say. It is a version 2. The version 2 is come up with 56 GB memory and 8 cores. If you want to increase your cores and the thing, you can go and change everything here. I'm just going with this one, memory optimized stuff. If you want to go with, you can go here. 41 more services are there. Here 30 more services are there. You can go with anything. It doesn't matter. So I can suggest whenever you are into the memory optimized state, it's better to go with memory optimized, because it will try to make everything possible. But I can say whenever you are into the real-time computation, not supposed to go with memory optimized, because the memory optimized might lose some kind of cache information between the workers, right? So you had to be aware of this. And let me show you some more things here. Yeah, we're done with the auto scaling, right? So what is this terminate after something, right? So whenever your cluster is idle, which is not working for anything, or which is not used for anything to execute or anything to go for this, so what it has to do, instead of generating the bill, it's better to terminate. If I'm not using, whenever I'm trying to use it, I can go and restart the cluster, or recreate the cluster, right? So if you enable this, by default it can take 120, it means 2 minutes, sorry, 2 hours. I'm sorry for that, 2 hours, right? If your cluster is idle for 2 hours, it can simply terminate instead of generating the bill on this, right? To utilize this kind of thing, this kind of 8 cores and 56 machines with $6 to $18 per hour, right? Uh, it will start saving everything if the machine is not using, if the cluster is not using. Terminate in the sense, it will completely terminate the connections behind your, between your digital, uh, digital services and Databricks. Digital services in the sense, all computation services along with the network and everything, right? So it can go with this one, right? If you want, you can keep it. If you don't want to terminate yours, you can uncheck this one, right? Every option has its own help. By hovering mouse on each, you can get the real-time help which they are using for. Okay, and go for, so here one more thing, we forgot to explain this. What is the spot instances? Why this is? The spot instances is nothing but related to pool. Okay. Hope you're aware of the pool. I have given some explanation when we are into the multi-thread and multiprocessing, right? So let me give brief again. So pool is nothing but which is a collection of all required stuff which are ready to use, which are ready to go, which are ready to start, or which are ready to accept the tasks to execute and return back. When we are getting the spot instances, we are not supposed to wait until that the clusters, that the workers which are required to the clusters, or which are required to execute tasks in the cluster, to make them up or accept the stuff. So what it will do, when you enable this spot instance, it will collect all the required, mean to say, whether you are using or not using, it doesn't matter. It can create all 8 virtual machines, and it can hold all these machines into the pool. It will never allow any others to come into the machines and use this. These 8 machines are idle for you, for your cluster. And whenever your machine is required, whenever your cluster is required to execute some tasks in the machines, immediately it can pull the machine from the pool and start work within a millisecond, right? It will take a millisecond to connect back, but it will never go for reinitiate the installation process, create the worker process, right? This will add additional charge. It will not show you here, but it will add additional charge because the machines are idle. These machines are created for you and make it idle for you for the future purpose. All right. So, and again, we have a driver type. These all for licensed Databricks, not for community Databricks. You can only see 2 things whenever you are into the community version. It doesn't mean we are not able to use all the features. You are using all the features with single node, right? Without any other. So additional things, these driver types and advanced options are coming here because these are related to the cloud. We can see later what are these. Here you can go with the driver type. Okay, the driver type is for the main master computer. So what is a driver and worker? What is a driver and worker thing? So the driver and worker thing is nothing but we can see this in our first presentation. So there is a master machine, right? There is a master machine which can let me move my chart window to bottom or move it out. Okay. So there are some clusters which are nothing but, oh, that's my control. Let me take the rectangle easily. Shapes, draw rectangle. So I have a master machine and I can have some slaves. Slaves are nothing but workers. Okay. This complete set is called a cluster, right? This complete set is called a cluster. What this master will do, this master will establish a connection between each worker. So again, each worker doesn't have any handshake in between the individual workers. Okay, each worker should maintain the relation with master. Okay, this master node, well, as this master or this driver, we can say in Databricks language, this is a driver and these are workers, right? So you can see this master might be higher than the worker, or this master may equal to the cluster. I mean to say equal to the worker in the cluster, right? Just like the computation capacity, just like the memory and cores or something else. So probably everyone will make this cluster is more um, with more or maximum capacity than the worker, because it might hold all the tasks. I mean, it should hold all the tasks and it should hold all the information from the nodes, and it might contain some kind of data exchange in between the nodes through the master, and everything it has to do with all the stuff. Just imagine this with a manager with a team of employees, right? If the manager doesn't have sufficient time to spend with the team will not perform with a great work, right? So the company should provide as much as capable space to the manager to collaborate with the employees and collaborate with his team members to get the maximum output or to get the accurate output, right? So that's how this can work. This master is nothing but a leader, and these are nothing but employees, just like that. I'm just taking this, nothing much, right? Let me clear this diagram right now. So by setting this feature, same as worker, this driver also going to be create with um 16 to 64 cores along with 122 to 448 GB. So it is taking this one, right? 128 to 448 GB, right? So it is going with the calculation, what it is taking. So 56 GB for each worker RAM, I mean 56 GB of RAM for each worker and 8 cores CPU for each worker. So this also master is also going to create with the same 56 GB plus 2 plus 8 cores. If you want to change this, you can go with. All right, you can go with anything here. You can change that standardization with anything, whatever you require, right? So for my task, I'm just going to select this one. So based on the selection, whatever you have here, this will come here and this will go with the charge. This will explain you the expectation charge. It is not 100% accurate again. This will be expectation, not 100%. So based on enabling the pool, it will go up, right? Based on the computation, it will go up. Based on the uptime, it will go up. But it will give you the range where what you might get. You might get least as 6, maximum as 18 for each computation per hour. All right. So the next one is advanced options. So here you can see all the stuff which is related to the Azure Data Lake storage. So here, due to some additional configurations in my Azure portal, this is disabled here, right? So this is only for what I can say, how I can say to you. So for if you want to use any kind of SQL operation, if you want to perform any kind of SQL or any kind of NoSQL operations on the data lake or data clusters, whatever it has created here, right, earlier in the resources, here in the data storage of this one. So that you have to enable here, right? Otherwise, it will never allow you. I'm taking the free account, that's why it is not allowing me to enable this one. If you are really into the pay on use, pay as use, you can go with, right? And here, some of the things are really added to this one. So in the what it is in the community edition, it is not enabled, but here it is already added something. Okay, what it is? So the Databricks cluster profile, right? You can see this is a key. Spark.databricks.cluster.profile is a Spark cluster profile, okay, which we can use a property in a notebook of Spark. So here it is saying serverless. It is a value which is assigned to this property. Okay, and why it is saying serverless, it is simply, it is not going to host on a specific server. It is going with simple solution on data services. That's why it is saying serverless. And what are the different languages this Spark can allow to execute? By default, there is no additional stuff. There is no Scala. There's only SQL, Python, and R. Of course, you can try to execute the Scala environment, Scala commands on top of the notebook, but again, the static thing is going with this 4. So by using this, you can you can reduce the executions, or you can reduce the configurations on your machine. And this is containing an environment variable, that is PySpark path, Python path. So it is already contained with Databricks Python 3 bin Python 3. So this is an environment, and this is a Python language, and this is a executable of Python. All right. Yeah, Nagendra, just raise your hand.
Coming to profile, right? Do we have any different types of profiles do we need to configure?
It's a value. It's not supposed to be the accurate profile. It's a just text of the profile, what type of profile you are using. So here I'm using serverless. There are categorically there are 2 types of servers. Okay, the standard thing is serverless, and the hybrid thing is nothing but with additional clusters with your group of services. Okay, if you are using standard serverless service, you can go with serverless. Or if you are trying to configure everything for your purpose, for your standard service, you can go and give your name here instead of serverless. Okay, you can change it, whatever the name you have given for your specific server configuration. Okay.
So these configurations are the Azure developers will do, or platform teams will do?
This is completely for administration, not for the developer. Okay, if you want to create any cluster or anything, you are not supposed to touch, because they can go into the user settings and they can give you the permissions as you required. Okay, administrator or a lead or a technical lead or an architect or a specific person, just like who are dealing with the Databricks service. Mean to say, if you are going with the client Databricks environment, your team might not go, your administrator or your team might not go into the Databricks administration or can do. The client team will only has the what it is, only have the permissions to do that. They will never give you to change these configurations, give you the permissions to change these configurations, right? So here I just give the boost bump. This is nothing but a cluster name, server name, what I have created for me with my own kind of elastic scaling, with my own kind of computation engines, with my own kind of services, with my own kind of API engine as well. If you want to create your own, you have to create this all. And you have to name for the cluster, and you have to give the name here, whatever the name you have. Okay, most probably it is serverless. Serverless in the sense it will never create any physical servers on your machine. It can go as it required. That's why we are naming it as a serverless.
And environment variables we can extend, right, as per the
Yeah,
need.
you can, as you require, you can, and you can use this environment variables in your Python notebook. It will never restrict you. All right. Yeah. Then once you are ready with these all, you can go and give the tags. Hope you guys are aware of these tags, right? So who are creating, what are creating, and if you want to go with, if you are going to give additional things, you can go with. So if you want to get the bill on the specific thing, you can go with on the specific group name. Okay, so most probably whenever the cloud engineers are doing, cloud administrators are grouping them with the tags, just like client base. There might be a number of clients with a number of services. So they are simply going with client along with the services. Okay, so I'm going to take XYZ. If I want to go with any service, Databricks, or data engineering, or DE. So what it will do, just whenever it is generating a fresh bill, so I can get the complete bill on top of the for each client on top of this client tag, and the bill will segregate based on the services. So now the DE related, data engineering related bill can be divided based on the service of DE. I have any web services behind, I can give it web. If I have any mobile services, I can go with mobile. If I have any analytics, I can go with analytics, just like for the segregation purpose, right? No one will explain you what the purpose of this tags here, because you have to be aware of this one, why we have to use the tags. Okay, and the next one is logging. If you want to get the logs based on the cluster, the logs will go and start DBFS. So here it is none, that's why it is not taking anything. You can take the DBFS. DBFS is nothing but Databricks file system. Again, this DBFS and whatever cluster logs you are seeing here, that will go and store inside this data storage. Okay, so that will go and store inside this data storage. Right. Of course, you can access this directly with dbfs:/, right? dbfs:/ cluster logs, whatever the logs it is generated. Right. And if you want to go with any initial scripts, you can directly go and start them while it is starting or stepping up. Right. So here dbfs and abfss. Okay. So here dbfs is nothing but Databricks file storage. ABFS is nothing but Azure Databricks file storage services. Right. So whenever it is in Azure-based services are nothing but, again, it is coming back to the data storage service, because it is already linked with this one, right? If you want anything, you can go. If you don't want anything, it is not required. Okay, this is a basic stuff to go with. Once you are ready with all this stuff, you can go and create your cluster. It is not allowing me to create because my free account is disabled on this one, because I mean to say it is not free account. Whatever the 35,000 rupees I'm getting, those are expired. Those are gone on my service. I thought these are there, but these are expired. right? Let's go back. So once you create this, that will come and join here. This will no more up because I'm not enabling my machine, or I'm not converting my machine into advanced payment mechanism. I have to go with additional license here, where I can get for the concern. I mean, some kind of discount on my use. Okay, that discount coupons well provided by my company, and I can use them for here. I had to check whether anything for me or not. Okay, I'm coming back again. So whatever the clusters you have created there, those all clusters will be listed here, and the job related clusters, whatever you can create from this, that that cluster or those clusters will come into these job clusters. So I said something about pool, right? So that will come and sit here. If you want to create any fresh pool, you can go with the same kind of mechanism again, right? So it is on demand. It is all spot in the sense it can come and stand here. On demand is nothing but it will never hold anything for you, for you, or hold anything in your environment. Whenever it required, what it will do, on demand and all spot will create all machines and hold for you. On demand will take a snapshot of the existed machine, and immediately it can launch whatever the data it contains, whatever the configuration contains, doesn't matter. It can create a snapshot, and that snapshot can be used as a container to go ahead with the required stuff. Right, that is only the difference here in pool, nothing much. All right, so this is about cluster creation and all the related stuff required for Databricks. Today I haven't said anything. I have only explained all the additional required stuffs in the licensed version. All right, so again, there is a help and there are settings, and this is my this is the individual user account. You can see the same thing here, or you can see the same thing here. All right, this is something different. So here you can see that actually, right? So again, I'm going into the setting. Here you can see user settings, admin console, and manage account. What are these user settings? User settings are nothing but individual user related stuff. Okay, individual user related stuff. So here you can see all my related things. I can generate my own tokens. I can connect my notebook with GitHub to sync the information in between. This is only available with the license again, right? Notebook settings. So you can use these settings for your notebook. If you want to go with the tips, you can go with, right? If you want to stop the tips, you can stop the tips here directly, right? And everything. So if you turn off these tips, your notebook will never get any kind of things. Let me show you that. Users, Harish Kumar, and let me go with my example thing. Okay, here I have created a simple notebook. So whenever I'm writing something here, if I want to get, so df.create temp view for simple temp table in SQL, just like. So if I want to get some help, if I use shift tab, okay, so cluster is not running. That's why it is showing to me if the cluster is running. So here I can get the help, whatever the related thing I can go, or control space. It can give all the IntelliSense list, what I can proceed with the tf dot, right? These all will come with what it is with these settings, notebook settings. Okay, so you can go with everything, right? So here shift enter is a next cell, scroll to next cell. Okay, control enter is execute and go for the next. Shift enter will just jump into the next cell. So these all just like additional settings for you. Okay, and model registry settings. If you are going with any kind of what you can say, any kind of machine learning or additional data science, advanced data science, this will help you to send the notifications based on the tasks and the learning parts, right? And language settings. So your preferred language, whatever your preferred language, you can go with that one. Based on this language, this complete environment will change itself. Okay, this is nothing but localization, right? This is about individual user related stuff. And going with the admin console. Admin console is a bit advanced. Here you can see two users are added to this machine, and I can go with this one, right? And also you can see the same members here, right? You can see the same members here. If you want to use any, if you want to add any additional user, you can add the email here and send the invitation to him directly. That can add it to the user pool, and that send the invitation to that specific user to join into the Databricks environment, right? So this is a simple way to add user. And going to the groups, so you can create your level of groups and you can give the permissions for them, right? By you can see two groups I have. By clicking on create group, you can name the group. Okay, so you can see in this admin group, you can see two people are there, right? Of course, two are me only. So, but with my different accounts, one with Outlook account and the another one with Gmail account, right? Here you can go with add another user. Whoever the user you have invited into this one, that guy will come into this one, and you can go with, right? I have already added here, that's why you cannot see any other, right? So you can add that guy into this one. So here it might require to add the what it is, add the permissions, where to add here, right? Here you can add the permissions to this guy, right? So and the parent groups, if the group is a member of another group, you have to go with parent group, right? And global initial scripts. These global initial scripts are nothing but if you want to add any scripts, we can see some initial script while we are joining, I mean, while we are adding the cluster, right? The same thing will be added here, right? That can go with the initial script. And workspace settings. Okay, so you are into the admin console. That's why you're getting everything. So whatever the things you want to do, access control, who can access the workbooks, and who can create the pools and everything, that the regular users might not go with these all, right? But personal access tokens they can create, right? And the storages, right? You can maintain the storage based on the requirement and based on the what I can say. These can go with different kind of requirement base. Okay. How much deep you can store the history for each. So by default, it is 24. You can see the complete information here, 24 hours. If you want to change this, you can go with, right? So if you want to keep permanently, you can go with this permanent logs. And the next one, essential system, just like jobs. Okay, jobs are disabled, right? So if I enable this, it will ask me to confirm. If I confirm, it will go into the Databricks service, and then it can reestablish everything, right? So I don't want actually these things. Again, this is enabled, but not into this one, right? Because I don't have much thing to go. I mean, much what I can say, the permissions or the allowing to generate extra bill. That's why I'm not into this one, right? Again, cluster related information, right? The cluster related information you can go with whatever you were kind of clusters. So there are actually different types of clusters. So the clusters are, we can see there are three types of clusters. Okay. So let me show you the three types of clusters. So actually there is a genomics cluster, right? The genomics cluster is nothing but a cluster which is used uh, for specifically for what it is, what I can say, I forgot it. Come on, it's related to biochemical or something, right? So I will explain you these cluster types tomorrow's class. Okay, there are three clusters, one for specifically for data engineering, and another one for machine learning, and the third one for this additional biochemicals, right? So let's go back into this one. So here you can see that the third party related stuff, everything. All right. So these are related to the settings, admin settings. There is one more thing, that is manage accounts. There's a most powerful thing. There's only go with the super admin, right? So it will come back and have the complete stuff on this one. All right. This is about license Databricks. Okay. This is about license Databricks. You can go ahead and you can take whatever the information it is containing. All right. Just try to create your own Azure account and try to launch your Databricks account here to play with. Okay, so that's it for today's class. It's completely theory, but it is more important and required. That's why I'm taking one day to explain. I mean to say one full class to explain about all additional services. Okay, guys. So any doubts? Okay, I'll take it as no. And yeah, we'll wrap this class here. So tomorrow onwards, we are going to start notebooks. We'll start using NumPy. Okay, why to use NumPy? That is a advanced array concept. We don't have arrays in Python, but with NumPy, the arrays will come up into the picture. And these arrays are faster and accurate than the native list. Okay, list is native from the Python, right? That is, the NumPy arrays are more accurate and faster than the native lists and dictionaries, right? We can see why it is faster enough, and what are other benefits with that NumPy, and how that is going to be useful in the upcoming classes or upcoming works in your future works, right? Good luck. So do more practice, get familiar with all these topics. All right, guys.